Hello, everyone. It's your sister Roland, and all I need is a few minutes to talk about the story coming out of Fayetteville, Georgia. So, particularly Peachtree City, I believe that's where the place is called. So, we have on my right this young man. His name is Jacobean Brown, and on my left, that was his dad. His dad lost his life about 11, 12 days ago. He was found in his car in front of a bank with a gunshot wound to the neck, and he lost his life. He hasn't been buried yet, mind you. And here you have this young lady. So here you have this young lady on my screen. Her name is Madison. Gesswein. She's 15 years old. She lost her life. It was Tuesday morning, and it was at the hands of Jacobean Brown and his two other friends, Justus Smith and Yeshua Mathis. This story gets even more complicated because here is like a link to the father's passing and this young lady's passing.
Jacobean is tied to the 15-year-old's death and also involvement with the other two 18-year-olds.
And we did learn that just a few hours ago when we talked to the family and his friend. I'm told Jacobean lived with them for a short time after his dad put him out due to some behavioral issues. It's unclear how long he lived with this family until I'm told he was also asked to leave their apartment due to some issues they were having with him. So right now, we know he lived with them, but it's unclear exactly how the other two teens are connected, but we're
So as we hear from 11 Alive, this young man is connected to both of these cases because, he lived with his father. His father kicked him out because he was having behavioral issues. And then he was living with this young lady's family. And then they end up kicking him out because he probably was having the same issues or something was going on. They had to kick him out also. And then the dad ended up being taken out, and now this young lady ended up being taken out, and he used to live with these people at a point in time, and then they kicked him out because of behavioral issues. We know in America that we are innocent until proven guilty, but this is very fishy. And then this this is how you repay people. You got kicked out by your dad, and this family was able to take you in, which is very rare because sometimes you can't find anybody to take you in. Sometimes you have to go to a shelter, but for them to take you in, and then this is how you repay them. This is something. And I've seen people say, why is a 15-year-old hanging out with an 18-year-old? They're not that far in age. They're not that. She's 15, he's 18. He's 18. So, and he might have just turned 18 also. And most of the time, these kids hang out with older kids because remember, sometimes our kids do things, be getting into stuff they don't have no business doing. And sometimes they need these older kids to facilitate and get certain stuff that they cannot get. And most of the time, these kids grew up in the same neighborhood. They grew up together, seeing each other, and that's how they became friends. They always hanging out with each other. They see each other at the block or at the park or whatever neighborhood facilities are around. So that's not far-fetched that they could be friends, and that's probably why they took him in also. Remember that they took him in, but it didn't work out in their favor. So this is a very sad story. I mean, his dad hasn't even been buried, so he's definitely not going to be there at the funeral. And maybe he doesn't even care too, because for you to go to do that, you have your father is in the morgue. That's very telling. That's another red flag also, because your dad hasn't been buried. And then I think this happened Tuesday morning, so it may have happened Monday night. So maybe this young lady let him in because that's her friend, and not knowing that he had very ill intentions with her. And, they're trying to see if they could connect with whether two other friends come in. But that's his friends. So somehow he probably convinced them to go along with this crime. And this is the reason why we have to raise our children. We have to raise our children to think for themselves, and don't be followers. Because most of the time when they are followers, it always ends up not being good for them. And if he is responsible for the dad, one thing I noticed about this generation, many in this generation, not everybody, they're not loyal. So when they hear they are facing a number of years in prison, they probably never ever going to get out. And if he's somehow involved with his father's thing, they will throw him on the bus to get a better deal. So it's gonna say on top of this case to see how it turns out. But this is a very interesting, sad, tragic story. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.